I don't know what the percentage is for fourth and fifth generation failure. I know the odds are stacked against us in this country. But I also know that it is not going to be competition that drives us out. It's not going to be the economy that drives us out. I took over my grandfather's company in 2009. Not a great time to take over the business. Not a great time at all. But it wasn't the company that pushed me out. It wasn't my competition. As a matter of fact, I can remember my grandfather saying right across the street, he owned a 3-acre lot of land. It was just dirt, trees, nothing there. And I can remember him saying, because he was hardcore, you have no idea. He was hardcore. I can remember him saying, if I thought for a second that Rooms to Go or Haverty's or an Ashley Home Store would put a building there, I'd give them the land, because he understood the value of competition. And I'll tell you today that the national guys are not the things that are going to hurt your business. It's the inability to differentiate and tell your story. Because we've heard time and time again, the best story is the story that wins. And my grandfather understood the value of having a national chain, a bigger company, more competition around him, because he understood that he could leverage other people's advertising dollars, he could leverage other people's story, and he would do the same thing for them as they did for him. Because to him, competition, as long as they were buying furniture, he had a chance. But if they were buying something else, they were out buying cars, he didn't have a chance. So his competition was the other industries, not other furniture stores. I think that's really important. So here's something I'd like you to chew on and think about. Great leaders are simply followers who are willing to go first. Typically when we think about leadership, we think about someone who has a high position, who has authority, that can make things happen, that can make things be as they would like them to be. I would like to suggest to you today that leadership is predicated on followership. Great leaders are simply followers who are willing to go first. Because what is leading anyways? Leading means you go first. Leading means you go first. Maybe I could define it better in this way.
If you've learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, then let's watch a movement happen start to finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. You must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore. It's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and you brave ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut and it's not 2 nuts. 3 is a crowd and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers, because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned. If you are a version of the shirtless dancing guy, all alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals, making everything clearly about the movement, not you. Be public, be easy to follow. But the biggest lesson here, did you catch it? Leadership is overglorified. Yes, it started with the shirtless guy, and he'll get all the credit, but you saw what really happened. It was the first follower that transformed a lone nut into a leader. There's no movement without the first follower. See, we're told that we all need to be leaders, but that would be really ineffective. The best way to make a movement, if you really care, is to courageously follow and show others how to follow. When you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first person to stand up and join in.
Your ability to follow will determine more about the future of your company than your definition of what leadership may be. My last statement I would like to give you was so simple, I assumed that no one would listen because it's that simple. And so instead of just giving you the statement, I figured I would maybe cloak it in a little bit of an analogy, metaphor. 3 years old has been the third year of my daughter's life has been a big year. She's learned a lot of things, and she's developed in a lot of ways. This year, I taught her how to swing on a big girl swing. Up until that point, she had been on the baby swing. You know, that's the swing that you kind of sit in, and it encapsulates you in every way, and someone has to stand behind and push you the whole time. This arm, for me, is bigger than this arm because a lot of swinging. She really likes to swing. But I felt a couple of months ago it was time for her to upgrade. It's time for her to maybe take the next step and learn how to swing on the big girl swing. And so I asked her, sweetheart, do you want to swing on the big girl swing? Because attitude and the ability and the desire to want to do something is really the first step to actually accomplishing it. So I asked her first, sweetheart, do you want to learn how to swing? She said yes. And so I said, great. So we went to the park and we're walking through and the swing set's on the back end of the park and we're hand in hand and she looks at me and she goes, Daddy, I want to do it by myself. I said, sweet, I'll go just hang out. And so I set her down on the swing. She sits on the swing. Her little feet are dangling. She's got the chains and she does this. Nothing. Didn't go anywhere. So she's like kind of moving around and she goes, nothing. And she gives me this look. She glances at me as if to say, Daddy, the swing's broken. And I knew the swing wasn't broken. And so what I did is I walked over to my daughter. I stood behind her. Maybe you would call that a mentor. And I pulled her back. And as I pulled her back, that was me allowing her to recognize the past and to understand that the past is where the momentum comes from. And unless we're willing to lean into the good, bad, and the ugly, the lessons, the positive things, the negative things, unless we're willing to lean into that stuff and learn from that, momentum never happens. Because so often, this next generation wants to sit in the swing and lean forward and lean forward. But until we can pull them back in the past, and until we're willing, current generation, to pull them back into the past and help them understand that. And then, here it is, current generation, let them go and experience the momentum. Once I pulled her back and let her go, I was able to stand alongside of her and help her to understand that her effort alone would dictate the momentum she kept. And it took equal parts pressing toward the future and leaning back in the past to allow her momentum to keep going so that she could give that to someone else one day. And my greatest desire for this group is that your next steps happen in that same way. Thank you.